Hello and welcome back to the channel. And welcome back to another brand new movie review for a brand new episode of Tales from My Backlog, where I, inspired by B Star Cinema here on YouTube and on TikTok, I'm going to be going through my collection and actually finally watching a lot of movies that I just have that I've never seen before. And I'm going to decide at the end of watching the movie whether or not I'm going to keep it in the collection or if I'm going to cull it. If it's a Blu-ray, it'll be just culled straight away. But if it's a DVD, it will be burned onto the laptop and then added onto my external hard drive. And then it will be, culled that way, like what happened with last week when I reviewed Akira. So today, as you can tell by the title and the thumbnail, I have finally sat down and watched Stand By Me. Now, this movie has been on my radar for so fucking long. There's a lot of people who have told me that, it's a great film, that it is, one of the best films of all time, and that they are surprised that I have not seen it, especially because there are two Star Trek alumni in this, being Will Wheaton, a whole year or two before he starred in The Next Generation, and of course, Jerry O'Connell, who would go on to voice Captain Ransom in Star Trek Lower Decks. Well, it was Commander Ransom until the end of Series 5. Spoiler alert for those who actually care. So yeah, me and my partner finally sat down and watched this last night, and I'll say my thoughts for a moment. So, what is Stand By Me? Well, it's based on a Stephen King novella, obviously, and it's basically about four childhood best friends around the ages of 12 and that, um, in a small woodsy Oregon town, and they decide to they get catch wind of this boy who's missing, and how these two older boys have found his body after stealing a car, and so they decide but they are going to do the day trek out there to where he is, where the body is, and they're going to bring the body back, and then they're going to be seen as heroes. They're going to get their name and in on the radio, in the paper, and of course on TV, because this is during the 50s, so TV is still a new-ish item. Um, so yeah, we have the four boys. Georgie, played by Will Wheaton. Chris, played by River Phoenix. Teddy, played by Corey Feldman, and then Vern, played by Jerry O'Connell. Um, so yeah, they eventually track down the body. They find it, and then they basically just go on. It's a coming of age story for the four boys. So what did I think of it? Well, I loved it. I was surprised going into it to find out that it was an hour and a half long. Because I always thought it would be like a 2 hour to 2.5 hour film. Like The Shawshank Redemption was. That the other Stephen King novella that's hugely popular. But no, it's an hour and a half long, but it doesn't feel like an hour and a half long. It does kind of feel more of the 2 hour, the 2 hour mark. And again, this is the perfect coming of age story for these boys. We see them, we see who's closer to who. In this regard, we see, we get to learn a bit more about what's going on with the boys. Where Corey Feldman's character, his father apparently stormed the beaches of Normandy and beat him up, and nearly he nearly lost his hearing in one of his ears, and we do see just how mangled and malformed that ear is. And then, of course, we have Vern, played by Jerry O'Connell, who's the coward, but he's the one who overhears about the body and where it is, and then they decide, and the one to bring it to them to go and find it. He also forgets about their secret knock for the treehouse. Then we have Chris, played by River Phoenix, who is, everyone just assumes he's going to be a low life, that he's just going to be stuck in that town. He's never going to escape. And then of course we have Georgie, played by Will Wheaton, who is, his brother had passed away in some sort of an accident. He blames himself, saying that it should be him. And he doesn't have, like, now the best of relationships with his parents, where his mother just doesn't acknowledge his existence. And his father, he said, oh, it should have been you, because even in the flashbacks that we do see with his brother, Georgie's always forgotten about. He's never, his brother's trying to hype him up, talking about this story that his brother had written that he really liked, but then of course the parents don't care about it. They're focused on the eldest son, the one who's popular, who's a football player, who had his whole life ahead of him, type of way. And it's a very big coming of age story for these. We find obviously at the end we've the narrator, older Georgie, does talk about what happened to them. How two of them didn't, they lost contact with each other over the years. Because that does tend to happen. I'm not a friend, like I don't have any friends from when I was a child. We've all drifted apart and gone our own way in life. The only close friend that I would still have from like my teenage years would be my friend William, and I've known him since first year, my first year in secondary school, and we're still friends to this day. We still play like Yu-Gi-Oh at the local card shop, and nearly every Sunday. It depends on if he's working or if I'm going myself. So he is one of the my closest friends that I've had since I was 13, in around the same age that these boys were. He's the only person that I would classify that I'd say that I've known him the longest. That he's been my childhood best friend since my teenage years, and I absolutely loved it. I'm kicking myself that it's taken me until literally last night to sit down and watch the movie. But I definitely really did enjoy it. So of course, Stand By Me is staying in the collection. It will not be culled from the collection. So yeah, there you guys go. I was not expecting to film another one this soon. But it's just because it was Stand By Me. I was like, okay, I do want to actually do this as the Tales from my backlog. Because it's been a long time coming, and even my partner enjoyed the movie because this is actually according to my letterbox, which is always linked in the description down below if you want to check out what I've been watching lately, is the 50th film that I've watched this year, which is something that normally takes until like June for me, because me and my partner do tend to watch a movie every night. Lately, it has been just showing her movies that I've seen that she hasn't seen, but the last 3 nights, it's been films that I haven't seen. It was Akira to start off with, and then it was the 2018 film Tag, which I really enjoyed, and then of course now it's Stand By Me. So yeah, that is going to wrap up this video. Thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Again, I don't know when I'm going to upload, but I'll try to make it as frequently as I can be. So let me know what you thought of the movie down below, and let me know what you thought of my review, of course, in the comments down below. And as always, I will catch you all on the very next upload. I'll see you all next time.